My mom used to tell me, just own it. Act like you won. Be classy no matter what people do to you. Be a class act. But you got it. You won. You're one no matter what you do in life.
A lot of people don't want to put that hard work in or work for free. Everyone's like, oh no, they're paying more over there. And it's just like, they're just going off the amount they'll make a week or salary instead of like, what can I actually learn and get from this?
I just pretty much feel like life's too short. Maybe it's because of all the loss that I've had in my life, but I feel like you just kind of have to go for it because you just never know. So it's
a different feeling when you grow up on a ranch, because I went to college in Colorado Springs at UCCS, and then you kind of just see the type of people, like more like city people and stuff, and there's just like a big difference. Like we're the same age and everything, but then just how you like carry yourself, how you do certain things, it's just different.
Yeah. Underrated, we the underdogs, underestimated.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Totem Podcast. I'm Monico Carrillo. Of course, we got here Eric with us.
Yeah, how are you guys doing? Yeah, I'm Eric, your other co-host. But guys, before we get started, remember that we're on all of the podcast platforms. So just make sure you subscribe, like it, leave a comment, leave a review, depending on whichever platform you're on. And then if you guys also like the guests we're having on today, make sure to give this video a thumbs up.
Please no thumbs down. Thumbs up. Please no thumbs down.
Exactly. So without further ado, welcome to the podcast where an act of rebellion is to question.
Cool. So today's guest that we have, very special guest. You guys probably know him for the motto of hanging out, drinking cocktails, and talking shit. So today we got the whiskey, wine, whatever, girls.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
We need to make it clink. There we go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. Well, cool. Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Yes. So could you guys just give us a little breakdown for people who don't know who you are, just who
Lorrie,
you are and what you do?
Well, I'm Lorrie Boyers, Michelle Staley.
Hello.
So,
Hello. Sorry.
And actually, you should start. So you can kind of give the little background on how we got started doing this.
All right. So, gosh, it's been, 2.5 years ago? I don't know. So, long story short, is right before kind of when COVID was taking place and people were home, and we were still working, right? We were still working in radio. And I don't know, it was one night I like to decorate, and I also like to decorate with whiskey bottles. So I was doing a segment on my decorating page, here's different things to do with bottles and so forth. And I also like drinking whiskey. So I was like, maybe I should do a whiskey Wednesday or something, whatever. Maybe I'll do that next Wednesday. And so I decided to sit down on my patio, and the weather was really nice. So a bunch of people were tuning in. And like I said, people were at home. So I don't know if I would have got as many viewers had it not been when everybody was stuck at home. But it was fun. Got a lot of interaction. Found out there's a lot of whiskey lovers out there. And so just started doing it on my patio. Reached out to Lorrie because we just naturally interview people together. That's what we've done. And I said, and she likes whiskey, and she's one of my good friends. So what was our first one was, wasn't that Auctioneer?
Oh,
yeah. Auctioneer yard.
It was at Auctioneers Miller and Associates from the Glamper.
Yeah, from the Glamper. We went out there when they were having a sale and set our stuff up, and it was kind of funny. There we were with our whiskey bottles and did a Facebook Live, and so we just decided we were having fun with it and started going to different distilleries, having distilleries reach out to us, and it kind of just grew from there. And I don't know, we've had a lot of fun with it. Interesting times because we started it with COVID, and when we could finally start getting out there and start doing interviews, we did quite a few interviews with masks on and having to try to drink drink that way and do interviews. But
so that's not stopping us from having whiskey.
So that's a snippet of it, Lorrie. I don't know.
Yeah, just adding to that, we've done so many different kinds. We were talking about some of our unique ones. We did one from a spin studio in Fort Morgan where we actually worked out and then we drank.
I said I should have had a few before. I'd have been a little bit more limber, I think. But
we've helped out our small business friends and helped showcase. Sometimes I feel like we're kind of a mini QVC. And so we've done that. Mm-hmm. We've done equipment. We've done farming equipment and, oh gosh, just all kinds of things. Jewelry. We did one on with jewelry. Well, a lot with jewelry, but I'm thinking more of Anne Unrichs. And I don't know. We should have wrote down a list of some. We should keep track of where we've been.
Well, we traveled to the Front Range.
Yes.
We traveled to Denver. A really fun one that we did was over at the Brush Golf Course. Our friend Matt owns a distillery up in Greeley called 477 Distilling. And we kept going up there, and we're like, oh my gosh. And there's a mutual friend that we have, and they had been talking about having Matt come out and kind of bring his spirits out to the golf course out there. So we kind of teamed up together, and it was kind of fun. We had quite a big turnout. We were out on their patio, and people were able to try the different spirits that they had there, and that was a great turnout. And
we did like a tasting on that one.
Yeah.
We've had guest people come and mix cocktails with us. Sharon with Country Road Vines and Wines. We've been there to her winery, but before she really got going, she came to the patio.
The patio's had a lot of visitors.
And made drinks with us.
We've had live music.
Yeah.
My buddy, both of our buddies, our buddy now, Robert Woodard with, Cross County Lions.
Yeah.
And he's come to the patio a few times, and we've had some fun.
Been at a dairy in the she shed.
Yeah, that's
that
right.
was
the
fun.
she shed. Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. So we're kind of up for whatever.
We like creativity, unique, cool experiences. Yeah. So
No, that's great. And so like, what was the whole like? Why did you guys like start it? Like, was it just kind of like a hobby, and then it started ramping up to something more, or how did it? Because you said you started like during COVID, but like, why that? Do you think?
Like, was that like your goal, like when you started it, or was it just kind of like,
no,
I'll just start it for fun, just shits and giggles, and then go from there?
I like to decorate and have a decorating page as well. That's one of my passions, and I've put on a decorating workshop at MCC, and so that's what I like to do. And I just started it for fun on my patio because I'll shoot little videos to kind of how to help people to set things up or do different things, and just for fun. Like, and we like to drink whiskey, and it was like, well, why not? Like,
I think for me, the interviewing part of it is the most fun because it's a natural passion for me. I do it in my professional life, and it was just a great carryover because when we go to these distilleries or breweries, wineries, because that's what the whatever is. We did tequila with Juan one night.
Did. We've had a lot of
lucky to make it home,
Juan.
but anyway.
Shout out to Juan.
It wasn't that bad. And it is big shout out to Juan Ayla because he's been a great supporter, and I call him our sponsor because a lot of times he provides the alcohol and he's
I
been a
know.
bartender.
I thought about it today. I'm like, I should have reached out to Juan. We could have tried some different whiskeys, but this is the home bar style, so we're good.
Come on, Juan, you're slacking.
So when we go
he's
up,
great. He brought a bunch of stuff when he came through with us, and
He's
and
very generous.
Thanks to Juan, I mean, we were able to know about you guys too, and that's how we connected. So
he's very generous and so community minded. But like we went up to Dryland Distillers, for example, one of the examples in Longmont, and they procure all of their whiskey from a farmer that I know, a farmer near Rogan. And so it's a great story on farm to flask. Yeah. So just interviewing them, they're all veterans, how their three male partners, how they came to be together, what they started with, what their goals are, where they're at now in a new location, how they come up with their drinks, and how they work with the farming industry. Of course, being the ag girl is very fascinating to me. But just learning everyone's stories has been so fun.
Yeah,
and I think that's the important part, because a lot of people don't know like people's stories like behind why they do what they do. And I mean, that interviewing, that's like a great way to get it out there so people can actually see what's going on behind the scenes.
We've gotten connected with the Whiskey Sisters.
Whiskey Sister Supply.
Whiskey Sister Supply. They're out at Burlington. Two sisters, and they raise all kinds of different malts for whiskey distilleries throughout the whole state. And so
Stephanie. Omak.
It's Felicia and Stephanie, but Felicia's been our main contact. And she literally will set us up with some of these distilleries. And when she can, she meets us there.
Yeah. So it's fun.
And again, so we tie in all the stories of how all that works and everything. And we get tours. We get private tours. It's so fun.
So we get kind of like inside connections with them. And
with samples, I guess.
Yeah, we usually get a sample.
The best part,
Yeah, it doesn't suck. We'll just say it doesn't suck.
We'll work for whiskey.
Yes.
That's great.
And it's kind of cool with the Whiskey Sister Supply, like their family, I don't remember how many years they've been in business, but Lorrie can speak to this very well because she does interviews all the time in ag, and I have as well, but she's the queen. And it's kind of a way to see how farmers, especially in our areas, can how can they monetize, with the way the markets are across the board. And that's kind of how that got started with them, is how can we monetize what we have with the family farm and try to get other resources of income coming in. So it's kind of, Their grains are amazing. Where the different places we've been so lucky. It's such good alcohols.
We
good
learn
distilled.
something all the time. Every time we do something, everyone's different on how they do things, and we've just learned so much over the 2.5 years we've been doing this.
I mean, everybody kind of jokes with us like we just get to go drink, but there is an educational piece to it.
There is.
I promise there is.
And most of the feedback I get is usually some component of when we do educational, people are like, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's good.
You learn a lot.
So what do you guys do like full time? I guess, or like your day job, or I guess.
Lorrie?
Well, right now I'm at a local radio station, but I'm going to be veering off and doing more of my own, like maybe not exactly what you two do if you're marketing, but I do podcasting. I do custom podcasts for customers. I have my own Ag Queen podcast. I do just general podcasts. It just depends on who needs what. And so I do a lot of that. Oops, I'm sorry. Scoot my chair around. I kind of have adult ADHD, so it's hard for me to sit still without fidgeting somehow. And then, of course, ag news. And, I've been doing that for 26 years. I've been in ag radio for 26 years. So that's my forte, ag news and interviews. And so I'll keep doing ag news and interviews, and just signed on with a national company where my reports just started this week on 45 stations across the nation. So
That's great. Congrats
that's my
on
newest
that.
one.
Good.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Also
That's
doing
big.
podcasting for Successful Farming magazine as well. And
Okay.
yeah. And so that's what I do.
That's great.
Well, and I just have to give her some kudos, because in the industry that Lorrie works in, I mean, she's one of the forefront women in the industry. I mean, it's starting to get where it's not as male dominated though, but you were one of the first in the industry, so it's kind of cool. So yeah, I'm excited for you.
Thank you,
Yeah, I'm
friend.
excited for you. So me, I'm like, do I have to say what I do now? It's not as
She's in
exciting.
customer service.
I used to work in radio. I was a morning show host, and with Lorrie, that's how that came about. So we've done different businesses together. We put on a women's business retreat one year. We've done motivational speaking together. So that was kind of a fun component to be able to work in radio. Someday I'll get back in radio again. I miss it. But I work in customer service now, and I'll just throw it out there what I do. I sell extended car warranties now.
So that's answer all you people that don't like to answer the phone for extended warranty. Answer the phone.
Answer it. Might be Michelle.
Hey, I think I'm kind of fun. I bring a whole different spin to the customer service call. So sometimes I throw in some music. You never know. But that's what I do now. Used to have my own business. I brought a product to market in 2008. It was a bag that carries oxygen cylinders, because our son was on oxygen for about 2 years. He was a preemie, and so I brought that to market, sold that for about 12 years, and so I've always had kind of an entrepreneurial spirit and so forth, and that's kind of what I love about this is, and we're still able to get out there and do some podcasts and like this, and just have fun with it, get in front of that camera. Not everybody likes to do that or be on air. It's nerve-wracking for a lot of people, but we enjoy it.
Yeah, no, that's
You guys obviously enjoy it too.
Yeah. We also get a lot of people who are like, I don't know if I want to be on there. Like, I want to be on there, but just like the pressure, like being on camera or being like with mics and stuff, it's a little overwhelming.
We always got to get all reliable. That's why we started off with the show. That'll loosen up the people. But so talking about like people's story and stuff, I'll go with you, Lorrie, first. But like, what type of person were you like when you were younger, say like high school? Because I think a lot of times the person we used to be, isn't like who we are now, different trajectories that we go.
I am completely not the same person at all. I was wild.
Yeah.
I was wild. I set the standard, for my sister to get away with
I didn't
stuff.
used to be till I started hanging out with her.
I always thought my sister and I should be opposite because she's 4 years younger. I paved the way for her to do bad stuff, and she was the good one.
Still is.
No,
Or maybe she just saw you and she was like, let me stay over here.
I made her cover for me a lot. She was the good one. Pretty wild until probably 18-ish, 17.
Are your folks gonna watch this?
I don't know.
Hopefully.
They kind of know a lot.
I'm gonna share it.
I
with
wasn't as sneaky as I thought I was. Yeah, I did a lot of stuff. But then when I was probably 17 or 18, I kind of came around because I wanted to be a rodeo queen. I showed horses. I grew up in a horse industry. And so we were on the road every weekend, and that was my life every day, was riding, doing chores, horse. I'm very serious into that. I loved it. I miss it. I still am a horse show judge, though, so I'm still in the industry a little bit. And I do some workshops with our local kids and stuff once in a while. But then when I got a little older, I decided I wanted to be a rodeo queen, and so I got serious. And then I shaped up, I think, from then on out. And so I became, you go through the process of what they call attendant, lady in waiting, and then queen. You know, you have to mind your P's and Q's. I had to grow up, and I did a lot of public speaking. I'm from Boulder County, and that's when the animal rights stuff was getting really bad. I don't want to date myself, but this is back in the 90s. And so I had to learn how to speak to people and to share the story of ag and to message our industry in a way that wasn't combative, but to help people understand what rodeo truly is, how those horses are often and still is. And I'll say this all the time, oftentimes they're taken better care of than their own kids. I mean, these are not only money, but people have a passion for their animals. There's always bad apples. There is in every industry. Not saying that, but a majority of people really do really take care of their animals. So anyway, I got a lot of public speaking training doing that. I was also a livestock judge in college. And so you learn how to, what we call reasons, where you have to think on your feet. And that's kind of how I got into radio, was just getting paid to talk, basically. But one of it is my mom kept telling me, you should be in radio, and I actually listened to her. Now she's telling me you need to be in TV. Well, here we are. I do
one step closer.
Yeah, I do a little TV. I'm on a TV station in Nashville every Wednesday for RFD TV and giving a Colorado ag update. But I think that's when I got serious and kind of matured out and decided that this was serious business. I wanted to be a queen. I wanted to represent. I wanted to do a good job. I wanted to be class act. So I changed that around. Then I decided I was going to run for Miss Rodeo Colorado, which I still have girl crushes on all these women that run, because I know what they're going through, and I know where their heart is and how much work it is and everything they went through and the expense. Started to get ready for that. My parents are awesome. They supported me. We started buying the clothes. I got subscriptions to PRCA. You have to know all about the cowboys in the industry and who's doing what. And then I met my husband.
And then there was that.
And then there's
Dun,
that.
dun, dun.
And I didn't want to wait to get married. I would have had to wait to get married. And he would have waited for me. Bless his heart. He told me he'd wait. But at that, when you're young and in love, you don't want to wait.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, my daughter is going to try out. Yep. No, I got 2 boys.
What age did you get married at?
What's that?
What age did you get married at?
I was 22. Yeah,
Okay.
22.
Not too young.
No.
Because I think, how old were you?
I was 19 when I got married.
Were you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Been married for 8 years, so.
Wow.
Okay. My youngest son is 19 and
Okay.
pretty serious with his girlfriend. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens sooner than later.
And yourself?
I'm 24, but I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm engaged.
Oh, nice.
So
very nice.
Hopefully, September it'll be official.
Oh, good.
So you were 19. Okay.
Yeah, now I'm
At the time.
28.
You're 28. Okay.
Yeah.
Because my oldest is 24.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be 24 in June.
Very cool. Cool.
Cool. So what about you, Michelle? Like, how was your childhood?
Well, I was an
upbringing?
angel. Lorrie, like I told you, Lorrie was a bad influence. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah. Keep drinking.
So I grew up in a small town called Linden. I went to school at Woodland, so I went same school. So out on Highway 36, south of Brush.
Okay.
K through 12, I graduated with 6 kids. Went to the same school. All my cousins went there. I loved growing up. I grew up on a farm and started driving tractor when I was about 10. Not to get too deep and serious into this, but growing up, my mom was she wasn't very healthy. And we lost her when I was like 16. So I feel like I had to grow up pretty fast. With that though, and I always had the responsibility of living on a farm with chores and, I've always worked, but I was always entrepreneurial. My mom had her own clothing store, and I helped her with that. So, I finished high school and went away to college. I had a full ride scholarship to Colorado Institute of Art. I could either have went to NJC and played basketball, or I got a full ride scholarship. Well, I had a younger brother that was about 10, and I kind of felt the pressure. This is just how I felt, that I needed to get done with school and get back and kind of help with him. Now, nobody told me that. That's just how I felt, kind of. I just wanted to get through school. So it was a short program. When I finished up there, I had an opportunity to travel and study in Paris for a summer, study fashion. But I ran for a state FFA office. So it was either I was going to travel or if I got an office, then I didn't travel to Paris. But I did win an office. So I was a state FFA officer, 1992, 93. That's dating me. So I did that for a whole year, and it was amazing. One of the most amazing years of my life. It was awesome. It was just so cool. I loved FFA, so that was a big part of my life. And in that time, though, I will say I kind of rebelled a little bit. Just, going through something as young as 16 and losing a parent, you just kind of rebel a little bit. And so I kind of went through a rebellion stage there for a while. But, gosh, I'm trying to think what else. I finished school. I was a state officer, and then met my husband in Fort Morgan. I'm trying to think. I don't even know how old I was when we met. 22, 23, something like that. I swore I'd never date a guy from Fort Morgan. I don't know why. And then I ended up, I don't know why. I just felt that way. But anyhow, I ended up meeting one and marrying one, and we've been married 25 years now. And just have done so many. I've worn, unlike Lorrie that stayed in the same industry forever, I've done so many different things. Like I get very restless and want to try something different. And radio was probably one of the funnest jobs I've ever had. Like I truly loved it. But I've had different businesses. I've done, I don't know, I'm kind of just game for anything sometimes. But, I'm 51 now, so it's like maybe I need to figure out, but I'm like, nah, that's not who I am. What's going to be my next adventure? I kind of wish, I follow all of these influencers, like in social media, like these young influencers that went to NFR and they get to wear cool clothes, kind of like you were with the rodeo queens. It's like, how can I be a 51-year-old influencer? Who wants that? Any takers. But I just pretty much feel like life's too short. Maybe it's because of all the loss that I've had in my life, but I feel like you just kind of have to go for it because you just never know. So, yeah.
No, that's
yeah,
good.
I mean, what you just said, I think is pretty powerful. That life's short. You don't know when your time's gonna be up, so you just want to just go for it.
Mm-hmm. Just go for it.
What's the fall in just going for it?
Right. And there's a lot of naysayers out there, and it's
just motivates you though.
Yeah. And like I said, I kind of skipped a few things in there, but there was a time period where, like I said, where Lorrie and I did motivational speaking together, and just it was always fun getting out there and trying to motivate and influence people and to inspire them to follow what their dreams and passions are. And I think in a lot of ways with the businesses that we work with now, with what we do with this, it's kind of fun because a lot of times it's people that are following their passion, like even Juan. His family business, and he didn't necessarily have to get back into that, but he has a passion for it, and he does an amazing job with it.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, and then so do you guys don't do the motivational speaking anymore, or why'd you guys stop? Like
we haven't for a while. We were working with the Small Business Development Corporation, and they kind of quit doing them. So I guess we kind of quit doing them, but we did host, and we've talked about doing it again. And we probably will, I think. It's hard when you're working full time.
As you guys get.
Yeah, and you got kids. Although my kids are now old enough. They're both graduated. My Brody just finished his last college class, so I'm so glad about that. Life changes like that. But we did a business retreat out at her family farm near Linden.
It was awesome.
And it was mainly it was for women. And women from all over came. And we stayed there, and we brought in guest speakers. And we had it all organized with different sessions, and we had networking. We did vision boards. We did a lot of activities for entrepreneurs, and it was amazing. It
was awesome. Like when you hope that something, it was a lot of work. But one of my friends, I was a semifinalist for Shark Tank with my product. And so one of my friends was actually one of the first people on Shark Tank that was invested in. So it was kind of cool. We were able to bring her in being the keynote, shall we say. And so she came in, and just kind of cool to have those connections and be able to inspire and motivate. And one of our friends, Ann Unrake, which is from Fort Morgan, she's an artist, and she came to it, and she's just so creative. And I feel that then she kind of jumped out a little bit more and decided to run with some things, and has done some amazing projects in Morgan County. And some things will be showing up here with the, dare I say this, with the HGTV thing, but just she has an amazing talent. She always known she had the talent, but I think kind of coming to our retreat and seeing the motivation from other people and sharing ideas and so forth, she kind of took a bigger leap, shall we say? Yeah. I don't know. We're going to take credit for Ann.
Yeah, so we would definitely do motivational speaking together again.
If there was an opportunity.
Absolutely.
We can create an opportunity. I'm a big believer of if there is an opportunity, I'll create an opportunity for me instead of just...
Yeah.
We always have the thing we were talking about it the other day, like, we don't want to sit there and just be like, play the victim card, you know, the mentality. Like, if there isn't a way, like, I'll create a way. Like,
that's awesome.
So it's
nice.
That is awesome. There we go.
I don't know if it makes sense for everybody,
I think
but
you just gotta,
it doesn't have to, though.
Yeah, it doesn't have to.
Exactly.
Does this make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. How'd you guys meet?
Well, we met in Yuma at one of these events that we're talking about. We were both speakers.
It was an entrepreneurial marketplace type event.
Yeah.
So there was small businesses there. Lorrie had a business at the time. I had my business, and
I used to have a gift basket business a long time ago that I enjoyed. But one day when I was making 10,000 bows, I was like, this is not what I'm going to do forever. Kind of lost my...
What number of bow was it where you're just like...
she was at her breaking point.
No, I did it for about 4 years. Not heavy, not full time. It was just kind of a side gig. But I loved the creating, and I loved delivering them. That was my favorite thing. I don't know. I just lost my whole mojo in it. I don't know.
She did amazing work, though. It was awesome.
It was fun while it was there, but that was just a season. I think I needed that to get to the next step of other things that I'm doing, and we met that way, and I think so. It was all designed.
Yuma. Was it Yuma?
It was
just
in
one day.
It was in Yuma.
And then the rest is history. Boy, we had a lot. And we have to share this. We have an amazing friend. Her name is Beth Parrish, and we met her she lives up in Boulder. We use that to our advantage. She lives off this lake, and she used to be a chef. Lorrie and I don't like to cook. So she spoils us. We go up to her house and she cooks for us, and she's just amazing. We get to go hang at her lake. But we met her at one of the big marketplaces. Which one was it at?
Was it Lyman, I think?
Was it Lyman, the initial
I think
one?
it was in Lyman when we met her.
Yeah, and we just hit it off with her, and just she's amazing. She has worked with big companies like Estee Lauder doing their marketing, and now she's been an instructor. She was at DU for a while, right?
She's been at several places teaching entrepreneurship.
So we know a lot of really cool entrepreneurs, and it just kind of helps feed that spirit. So the rest is just kind of history with us. We after we did the women's business retreat, I think we kind of wanted to still work together, but we were like both working different full-time jobs. We both had our businesses, and our kids were younger. And then she knew that I was ready to move on from the last job I was in, and I was on the road all the time. My kid was like 10, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And I think I called you crying one day. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And she's like, well, we might be looking for a morning show host. And I was like, oh, cool. I'd never done it before, but I had done motivational speaking. But I have to say, the first 2 weeks I did that, I was so nervous. I thought I was having a heart attack. I had like anxiety, and I was like, what in the hell did I get myself into? Like, yeah, it was very nerve-wracking. It was like, I don't think I can do this, because you're pushing buttons and you're talking, and so once I got that down, I was like, I think I kind of like this. And then I had to start covering her show, and her show's a whole totally different level, and I was like, oh my god.
It's news talk.
Mine was radio.
A lot harder than music.
You could throw in a song if you messed up. Just throw in a song. But.
So is that how you got into like the radio? Just kind of
because she was like,
she hit you up. She's like, we need
she
someone.
She must have believed in me enough. She was like, I think this girl could do this. Yeah.
And how'd you get into radio?
Well, I graduated from CSU with a degree in technical journalism with an emphasis on ag. So my degree is actually print media. I thought that's what I was going to do. And I did some internships for some ag magazines in Denver. My husband's from Southeast Colorado. So when we got married, we moved down to the Lamar area to a town called McClave, which some people know and some people don't. And I worked for what's called the Ag Journal in La Junta, and I hated it. It wasn't, they didn't have the computers we have now. So everything was roll out, and we were there late, and driving from Los Animas every day at night to McClave was terrible. And I worked with all women. That is not fun.
Those
That
women.
is not
That's great.
fun.
Women.
Just to have it on record, a woman is saying this.
It was not a good experience. I was miserable all the way around. Like I told you, my mom kept telling me you need to be in radio. I heard an ad for the local radio station looking for a production assistant. Of course, I don't really know what that is because I don't have any experience in radio. But I was like, I'm applying. And it was in Lamar. And, it's a God thing. I'm a believer. I walked in, and it just so happened that they needed a person to do ag news and ag interviews and create a department. And so I got hired right away, and I did that. And I was a production assistant, which means that you do all the background stuff on commercials. You put all the music in and all that. Again, at that time, we did reels. We didn't have what we have now on the computer editing stuff.
Can't even imagine.
And then I was the cigarette runner, coffee runner, sonic runner, get the cows out of the pasture that aren't supposed to be in a pasture runner. So then there was all that too. But at the time, I felt like I was and I was the low woman on a totem pole. But I'll tell you where that taught me to be humble, and it taught me about job security, because I did what nobody else wanted to do. I learned all this stuff throughout the whole industry that many people who had been in the industry for a while didn't even know. It was a God thing. So I learned so much there. So I was at the first station in Lamar for 5 years, and then had the opportunity to go to our competitor, built the ag department there for 4 years, started my own network, which means I was on 19 stations in Colorado, New Mexico, Kansas, and I think Nebraska I had one. And then that's how I met the owner of the station here, because he picked up my reports, and then one day he said, I need a farm broadcaster in-house. And so I got my husband talked into it and moved over to the Brush area about 20 years ago.
How do you start your own network?
It takes a lot of work. A lot of it is...
It sounds like it's
It sounds so
pretty
like you just
in-depth.
push a button, huh?
It really is.
Almost.
This is a very, very... Radio, especially the ag industry, is very relationship dependent. So it really is on who you know. I mean, of course, you need to have the technical skills on producing stuff. But you need to have the people behind you to do it. They need to be willing to do interviews with you. There was an insurance agent when I went and sat down, and I said, I think I'm going to start my own network. And my second son was only 7 months old when I did this. And he said, you know what? We want to support you. He wrote me out back then, $1,500 was a lot of money. He wrote out a check that day and said, we're going to be your first sponsor.
Awesome. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, and so then I bought radio equipment that was in a bank repo. I mean, again, this is a God thing. How often do you find that in Lamar, Colorado? A radio station went under a few years ago, and it's just sitting there, so they sold it to me cheap. Got my own stuff, and I knew from doing all the grunt work, I knew how to put everything together, because many, many times I was the one trying to fix everything for everyone else. So I knew how to put my own studio together. And so I was building my own website on Yahoo at the time, because that was a big platform, and literally sitting at my computer with my son in a high chair, feeding him, building my website.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then I didn't have a big house, so unless somebody was bleeding or dying, they better be quiet. and my kids
understand that.
My kids learned right away that if mom is talking, they are not. Unless there is an emergency, they are not. And so I trained them up right away that if mom's talking, you shut up. So there was a lot of that, recording and stuff earlier in the mornings. And then when they got up, they were quiet. I'd run them to the babysitter and come home, or, just whatever you got to do, you got to do.
How important do you think that is, that, like, when you say you're the coffee runner, the everything person pretty much,
The grunter.
that like people, I feel, I don't know, I feel that a lot of people don't want to do that, the hard work now. Like, they don't want,
Oh, yeah.
It's like you pretty much have to work for free to
This
be able
day
to,
and age.
yeah, to be able to, like, like you said, like, that benefited you. But a
Wanna
lot of
try
people,
some of that?
a lot of
Yeah.
people don't want to, they don't want to put that hard work in or work
I
for
agree.
free. Everyone is like, oh no, they're paying more over there, and it's just like, they're just going off the amount they'll make a week or salary, instead of like, what can I actually learn and get from this?
I have a thing with trash. I'm very OCD. If trash is poking up anywhere, I have to change the trash. It just bothers me. When I was doing more interns, I don't work with a lot of interns like I used to, but younger people, if they weren't willing, or new people in general, I shouldn't say just younger people, because sometimes people come into radio that were older than me. If they were not willing to take out the trash, I knew that it was going to be a bad situation, because that means they're not humble.
Yeah.
And you have to be humble. And in my opinion, you have to have a servant heart. If you cannot serve someone else, how do you do your job in radio? And, that's what fills my cup every day, is knowing I'm serving the ag industry. And, if you can't take out the trash, what kind of servant are you? So, and that's just my own personal philosophy, that if people were rolling their eyes about taking out trash, I was like, oh God, this is going to be bad.
Here we go. and I had a question for you, Michelle. Like, you were saying you grew up out on a farm and everything. Like, how important do you think it is for like kids when they're growing up, to kind of get dirty, to kind of do?
Gosh.
Because now it's just like, oh, we can't get dirty. Like, they have, oh my God, it's ridiculous.
It's hugely important, and
Appreciate it.
which one do I want to try now? Sorry, there.
I want
It's hugely.
the Broncos one.
You want the Broncos? I'll do the Broncos too. We'll mix that up. It's hugely
don't do the
important.
Bronco
Like,
Not
maybe
the
they'll
Bronco.
bring the win on Sunday.
Not against the Chargers, I'm sorry. I'm a Charger fan, not against the Chargers.
So, anywho, kind of a side note, and then I'll come back because I think it's important that we share about the farm thing. But the side note, it's funny that we're talking about this right now. This Bronco bourbon over here, they release this Breckenridge distillery. They had a blue one and an orange one, and one was with Carl Mecklenburg, and the other one was with I always draw a blank what his name is. I liked his the best, not Carl's, but I can't think of his name. Plummer. It was Plummer.
Jake
Plummer.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And so anyhow, they did this contest where you could submit a photo, and if your photo got picked, then you got entered into this drawing, and it was going to give away suite tickets to the game on Sunday. And I was in the running, and then this chick came and just blew me out of the water. So I wanted to try to make friends with her to be like, hey, who you taking?
I'll go with you.
We both like whiskey, but anyhow, so that's what kind of the fun thing is with that.
That's
they
funny. My girlfriend got me tickets for our anniversary.
Oh,
So
fun.
we'll
Good job.
be there.
Good
Fun.
job. Are you going or you're
I'm not going.
not going?
He threw me. He threw me aside.
Fiance, right?
Dang
Fiance.
women.
Fiance, there we go.
Then girlfriend. now
Oh,
fiance.
gotcha. This is just recent. Was it
Yeah,
just-
it was like 2 months ago
Oh,
that we got engaged.
fun.
Yeah.
But anyhow, that's how I kind of squirrel. No, but I think back to the farming thing. We did chores. I don't remember sitting still very often. Like there was always something to do, but I loved it. Like harvest time was one of my favorite times of the year, and I think it just instills how you work as an adult, and I think it's hugely important. Like, I think I need to send my kid to a farm, honestly. I mean, I love my son, but that work ethic, I'm sorry, I just threw him under the bus. But it's just like you just learn that work ethic, and it's so important. And, I was like 10 years old, and I was on the tractor from 8 to 8. It's a little different. My husband will always be like, whatever, I didn't get a wage. Well, my parents paid me a wage. That's just how it was in my family. I know that's not always the scenario. I saw an Instagram post where this kid was like, working on a farm, this is what it looks like. This is $0 an hour. Like it was like, But I think it's hugely important, and it builds good relationships, and it just instills that hard work ethic.
Yeah, I think it's crucial, because when you work, say you're out on a farm, you're working hard. So anything else that you do anywhere else is going to be easy, because over there you're dirty, you're cold, you're wet, like you're muddy, early morning, and like now people like they get up, they're late, they're really lazy, they get up late, they're like, oh, this is hard. Like, no, that's not hard.
Yeah.
That's not hard.
That's right.
It's just I feel very fortunate that I was able to grow up on a farm. Like I have so many great memories. All my cousins, I had a lot of family that was around me. So unfortunately, we weren't able to stay in farming. That's a whole nother story. If you ever want to talk about, won't talk about it now, but IRS and stuff, we can talk about it at some point.
Oh, those that's the fun part. That's the fun gets started.
We'll just say that my grandfather was very eccentric, and he didn't believe in paying taxes. And I'm not going to talk politics, but I'm just going to say, with the times we're in, he's not so far off right now with everything that's going on. We'll just put it that way. But,
Because we also grew up on a ranch.
yeah, did you?
did?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's between Brush and Akron.
Okay.
Yeah, like the same things like he was saying. It's a different feeling when you grow up on a ranch. Because I went to college in Colorado Springs at UCCS, and then you kind of just see the type of people, like more like city people and stuff, and there's just like a big difference. Like we're the same age and everything, but then just how you like carry yourself, how you do certain things, it's just different.
Yeah.
Like their heart is like, for me, people, some people might get offended, but it's like their heart is like soft. For me, I think they're soft. Like they're really like soft. Like everything, like, oh, this is hard. Like that's not
we're
hard.
gonna get some thumbs down.
Thumbs down. That's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead. React to it. That's fine. But that's like the thing. Like, because we grew up on a ranch, we got to feed the animals before you go to school.
Yeah, that's
so
what I
like,
had to do too.
So it's like, and now the people are like, this is hard. I have to get up, and it's so early. Like, dude, we've been already working for 2 hours. That's not hard.
Right.
Getting up, being a school buddy, that's not hard. That's easy.
And I think too, people sometimes you have to do jobs that you don't love. I mean, that's just part of it too. That teaches you things too, you know.
To appreciate.
Appreciate when you do have, you know, one that you enjoy or one that you love. And I mean, passion plays such a huge part of it.
Absolutely.
How like difficult was it for you guys, like working in like the whatever, like in like the radio, or like before then, like being like a woman? Because like nowadays, like woman empowerment is like at the top of the list, but then before then it was just
5-10 years ago
it was like a heavily male dominated like industry.
When I started 26 years ago, it was very male dominated. But working with all females and then going to working with all males, oh yeah, there were a few things that I didn't like. But it was such a godsend because males, for me anyway, were so much easier. And overall, I mean, her and I work well together. I think that's very rare, actually, because we're best friends and we can work together. And I think that's a rare situation.
I don't think we ever really got into it at the radio per se. We had a few conversations, but we talked it through. Like, we weren't not catty with each other.
But working with males is a lot easier for me. And it's funny how it comes around in a small industry. And the industry is a small world, because now one of the Ag News reports I'm doing is for a sports guy that I worked with when I first started in radio. He started his own internet radio station. And he calls me up and he says, Lorrie, you're the girl. I want you.
Yeah, cool.
I mean, so it was really easy. So again, sometimes it's who you know or those connections you've built over the years. And he stepped away from radio for a while and then came back. So he's doing pretty amazing things down in Southeast Colorado right now and getting bigger all the time. But yeah, it was very male dominated, not only in radio, but in ag. And then I'm in an association called the National Association of Farm Broadcasting, which is a pretty big deal. I was president in 2019. When I first started, I was one of the only females. Not only was I one of the only females, I was a very young female who dyed my hair blonde with peroxide. I mean, there were so many things working against me at the time.
Did you feel like it was kind of, sorry, I just jumped in here.
Sure.
Do you feel like it was kind of a good old boys club when you joined?
Yes. Yeah. And to some respects, I still do feel that. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, the good old boys club, as we called it, those gentlemen are passing away. I mean, we're there. Yeah. We're there. They're starting to keel off. So it is changing. We've got more women in the industry in both ag and in radio than ever. 30% of all farm operators in Colorado are women now.
Oh, really?
Wow.
With all the new technology, you don't have to be out there bucking hay bales and doing fix and fence like we used to have to. With all the new technology, it's about working smarter, not harder anymore. Mm-hmm. And then in this organization I'm talking about, I would like to say, I mean, me and some of my colleagues, I'll take credit a little bit, just staying humble. We had to break through some of that glass ceiling that you hear about, the barriers, to allow for some of the newer and younger girls. And now every year we've got a new set of newer and younger females coming in. And we do have specific programming for them. I do believe that's going to change because it's going to be an everyday thing. It's not going to be abnormal anymore. And actually, in an interview I did here not too long ago, there are now more female FFA members than males across the board.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So some of these women empowerment or special women programs, I think, are going to start going away. I'm already starting to see that a little bit because now it's a norm. Yeah. Now it's not as special as it used to be. But yeah, breaking in, and I never looked at it that way. I guess being rodeo queen, I had to be bold. I had to be brave. I had to be confident and not let those insecurities get to me. And I had great support from my mom and dad. And they never, ever taught me that I couldn't do anything, that I could do whatever I put my mind to. My mom used to tell me, just own it. Act like you won. Be classy. No matter what people do to you, be a class act. But you got it. You won. You're one no matter what you do in life. And I guess I never knew fear. I'm probably more fearful now that I'm older. Making a big step, being middle-aged and going out on my own is freaking me out a little bit, I'll be honest with you. I was up at 2 a.m. with some anxiety.
Why do you think that is? Like, I just want to go a little deeper. Why do you think that is? Like, when you're young, you're just like, I got this. Your parents tell you got this and you're good. And you start getting older, you start getting fearful. Because I'm just taking the analogy because my daughter, she's 5.
She's fearless.
Yeah, snowboarding. She loves going snowboarding. She's like, because I have a harness for her. She's like, I don't need that. Don't give me the harness. I want to go. It's because she doesn't know how to fall yet. But then we get older. When do you think it's like that time, that age where you're just like, life kind of beats you up a little bit, and then you're just like, wait, maybe I shouldn't do that.
I don't think I felt that way till I had a kid.
Okay.
Honestly, I mean, like I said, I've had a lot of death and loss in my life, and I've always looked at it, life's too short, but once I had a kid, I was like, ooh, I gotta watch what I'm doing. I gotta
care for this thing.
Yeah, like I gotta reel it in here. And we went through a hard experience with him because he was born early, and we were told he wasn't gonna make it, and it puts things into reality and to perception. But it's like, for me, but it is kind of crazy because it's like, even with the situation I'm in now, where I was in radio and then I'm in this job, which it's a great job. The company is a good company. I work with a great team. But it's just like, I'm like, okay, is this what I'm going to do? Now I'm 51. It's been weird turning 50, I will say that. And it's like maybe some more fears have been coming up with that because I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die tomorrow. Like, not really, but it's just like you look at things a little bit different. And I'm like, where is that old Michelle that used to be like, you know what? This isn't feeling your passion, so let's go figure it out and let's do it. I mean, there's something along with that paycheck, right? Because I've been in the position. I mean, I still have a loan with my business I no longer have anymore. So I don't know. When you get older, you lose some of that fearlessness where you're just like, oh shit, like I can't wait. Like, I'm the adult. I got an adult. I can't be irresponsible. Who's like, I've been there, done that, and like, who's going to take care of? Well, I had to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I think it's kind of like we build our own prisons. So say like with bills, with this, and then you're just like, oh, I don't know if I should do that because I got to pay my house, I got to pay my car, and then on top of it, you got my kids. Like, I don't know, I should make that jump. And most people, like you, you guys have, congrats on that. Like, got transitioned to do something else. But there's a lot of people that stay stuck there and never get out of it, I think.
So because you took the leap. Because you said you were working full time. Were you guys just doing this part time together, or?
No, I started this full time.
He's been full time. I've been part time. But so me, like, I made a plan for myself. When I was 23, I made a thing like, I'm not going to be at my full time job, and I'm not going to be an employee by the time I turn 28. Nice. I can't, And I stopped at when I was like 27 and a half, like awesome. Completely. And now we're doing it. I was doing both, for a while. And I was like, I can't do it because I'm telling my daughter, oh yeah, you can do whatever you want, you can do this, but I'm not doing it. So I'm being a fucking hypocrite, I think.
There you go.
So it's like, if I'm doing that, I'm telling her, she's seen, because the kids learn from, they say your actions are so loud I can't hear you. So that was like, I'm not gonna do that, like.
That's awesome.
So that's kind of how it's kind of a little deep, but that's kind of how I went about it,
I think you're bringing up some really good points, though, that make you think a little bit. I like that statement you said about building your own prison. But also when you were talking about, like, what shifts that makes you more fearful as you're older. Because when at first I was like, well, wait a minute. When you have all these experiences, you should gain knowledge and wisdom, make better decisions. Then you're not going to be as fearful. But I think, though, maybe, I don't know, for me, the older that you get, you have goals, like you said, and you want to achieve those goals. And then am I making the right decision to achieve those goals, or am I going to set myself back? And I'm old enough now that it's harder to come back from. I'm more tired. There's a thing women go through called menopause. It changes a lot. That's why I'm sweating over here. I'm having a little hot flash going on when we first started. There's so many things. Your kids just make a big difference. And we're a little bit different. Both my kids were preemies too, especially my oldest. It was life-threatening. She's more out there about it. I don't like to relive it at all, so I kind of block it. So I don't talk about it very often. But knowing how precious that life is too. We've had some struggles with my youngest and some health issues with him. And so I think you get a little bit more fearful, and you spend so much time trying to figure out those battles and what to do to help them. You kind of lose yourself a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like I'm finding myself a little bit now that my kid is older and getting out of school and getting serious about his girlfriend. Now all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I like she said, I'm an adult now.
Yeah.
And even though I was the whole time, but I was his advocate for so long that I'm having kind of to learn to relive a little bit. And I don't know if it's an age thing, society, financially. We hear about the inflation, all these things going on. It's scary to make changes right now. But I like what you said. I don't want to be a prison in my own life either.
Yeah.
You could die tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not to just be all blah, 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 but seriously, you could, you
yeah,
could.
exactly. That's what kind of changes it for you. And then kind of going like what you said. We have goals that we never hit and stuff like that. I mean, personally, I'd kind of push back on that. I think we have dreams that we never hit, because a dream without a goal is just a dream. So to have a dream, you got to set a goal. Realistic goals. Mm-hmm. You can have crazy dreams, but we need realistic goals to get to that dream.
Yeah, that's good.
So
yeah.
I mean,
putting it in again a set time frame is the most important thing for people. Because I want to make $1 million. Cool. That's a dream. But then if you put a timetable on it, then you turn it into a goal. I want to make $1 million next year or something. Then that makes it more of a goal instead of just a dream.
Mm-hmm. But you might make them. It might take you 40 years. You might make them. So that's the thing. Without a time frame, it just goes.
Yeah, I think one of
wherever.
Well, one of the things that kind of ties into that is just age, I think. Because usually people who are older do have kids, and they do have to worry about that other person, and not only that other person, but the wife or the husband in the relationship too. It's you're not by yourself anymore. When I'm right now, it's just me. Yeah. It's just there's a lot less on your plate until you get married and start having kids, and you have to worry about these other human lives. Yeah. And that just.
And that changes your goals.
Eat and cry and.
If you and I if we do this again in a year, I bet your goals today would not be the same once you have those kids and once you have another.
She just put that on you a year from now.
Oh, there you go.
Book us for a year.
It's gonna be a couple years.
But having your spouse come into your life, your fiance, your goals will change based on her goals and the merging of your goals and where you want to be. And I mean, sometimes there's conflict, sometimes there's not. And then as you get older, health becomes a bigger deal in your life. It just does. Yeah. Things you don't expect. When I was sitting in your shoes, I would have never thought about the things I think about now with regard to health. And
No, for sure. That's one of my biggest things too, is health.
And mental health too, not just physical.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's everything we do is more based on kind of health, and I hope Eric doesn't have those same goals that he has this year as next year. Yeah. That means he didn't hit those goals.
That means I didn't hit them, or I didn't mature as a person. I didn't grow.
Or maybe not hit. Maybe not. I mean, being flexible or fluid.
I understand. I'm just talking shit.
I guess that's what I meant. Was it may not look the same.
Well, I just have to share something because I've been ebbs and flows with success. I worked hard on my business for 12. I didn't know how I was going to bring a product to market. I didn't have a pot to piss in. My son was a preemie. I wasn't working. My husband's a plumber and was working his ass off. And it was I needed $30,000 to get these products. I believed in it because I lived it day in and day out. I just never gave up on the belief in it. And I always say I'm going to write a book, but I don't like to write. I mean, I could share so many different stories as to why I should have never brought a product to market with all the things that came up against me, but I never stopped believing in it because I knew it was going to help people. And even in the years, and Lorrie knows this too, I helped a lot of people over the years that were on oxygen of all ages. Mm-hmm. And
she has.
I got myself into Walgreens. I didn't know how I was going to get a loan, but I'm a believer too. And I just never quit I just always knew it was going to happen. I didn't know how for sure, but so I never gave up on it. And then got myself into Walgreens. I went to a big mart in Atlanta. I'm trying to make the small story short, because that's where I was supposed to meet buyers for like drugstores and different things. I did, but they were looking for gifting items, not what I had. So I was so pissed when I got back, because I had a grant that I won from Huggies. They did this big grant program for moms that brought products to market. Spent my last money to go to this event, and I was so mad when I got back. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go into Walgreens by myself. So I had Ty with me. He was younger. He was like 5, I think. And met the manager there. And here in Fort Morgan at the time, they had the capability of bringing products in. So I was able to get my product in and got a vendor number. And I went to every store in Colorado. And then because I got myself there, then I got on Walgreens.com. So I was just like, man, like, I was like, this is amazing. Like, I had no idea what I was doing, but I just believed in it, right? So for 12, long story short, I met another manufacturer, and then they started just the second production run that we did. I didn't have to come up with the money. They came up with it and just paid me royalties off of it. And I used to warehouse and ship everything out of my home, so they did all of that. It was amazing. And so you think you get to that point and you're like, I have a great product, I'm doing a good thing. Like, it wasn't always all about the money, but at the end of the day, it was like, I want a better life for my family, right? Well, I still have a business loan and I'm working a full-time job, and it's just like, and also getting out of radio because I had to make a financial decision. I mean, that's not what I wanted to do. It's those ebbs and flows, and it's not always going to go. You're like, there was many times I was like, yes, I'm there, and then you're not. And it's like, and I'm going to be honest, sometimes feel like a failure. You're like, well, God, I still have this loan, and, but at the end of the day, I have to remind myself, just part of it. Like, what's like, and what's your what's your next goal? Like, what are you going to do? I don't know what that is yet, but you just have to.
And then I think it's hard, like, at the moment you see it, but then it's like, kind of like, what'd you learn from it? Because I'm pretty sure now you learned all this stuff. Next time you get another product and you go to market, like, now like, I learned and so it sucks much. Like, that's the entrepreneur thing. If you don't get kicked around a little bit, you're not doing it right.
Exactly.
You need to get kicked around, and it sucks.
Yeah. I was going to say something like that, yeah.
Like, in speaking of the man's world, I got involved with this guy that helped me get my first production run, and it was amazing. But then we tried to work out a deal where he would get a certain percentage, but he would never sign off on the paperwork. Well, as soon as I got my products into Walgreens, and I wasn't nationwide in the stores, I was in Colorado, then he came after me. Well, we had all the emails and everything went back and forth. He didn't have a leg to stand on. I offered to pay him, but he was such a bully to me. I cried so many nights because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to do a good thing here. And the Michelle that was scared wanted to just cave and be like, all right, I'm done. I can't. But I believed in the product and what I was doing, so I was like, you know what? So that gave me a thicker skin. I mean, it was tough. He threatened me. It was a fun ordeal, but I learned a lot through that, let me tell you.
So what made you kind of like want to start bring your own product to market?
Because my son was on oxygen, and I lived the day in and day out trying to carry a child with a oxygen bag, and I just knew there had to be a better product out there. At the time, there wasn't. And actually, one day we were in Walmart, and I'd already been kind of trying to figure it out. And he had just started walking, and I had that over-the-shoulder bag on my arm. And he was standing there, and he went to move. He's a toddler. And the oxygen came off my arm and clunked him in the head. Like, his life support clunked him in the head and about knocked him out. And I was like, this is bullshit. Like, there has to be. And so that was just that driving force behind it. I mean, and I knew the oxygen provider that I reached out to them. Who do I need to contact? They gave me a number. I had no idea who I was calling, but I was actually calling the vice president of sales for the whole company, like talking to this guy. And what it was kind of fun, what I learned, like I just shared with them. I was totally just me, just sharing with them what I had. And he's like, yeah, we'll buy them. You bring them. And what I found out after being in that industry is that they're like, you got your product in with John DeRizzo. Like, everybody's like, John DeRizzo. Like, I didn't know who he was. I just knew I had a product, and he was great with me. But, it was definitely a male-dominated world there, too. So.
No, that's crazy. That's good. So kind of changing subjects a little bit. What's next for you guys? Whiskey, wine, whatever.
What is next for us, Lorrie?
I think we're working on that.
Yeah.
We go in ebb and flows too because we get really busy, and so sometimes we do tend to back off a little bit, and then we come back on, and we got 3 or 4 bookings that we're working on.
Well, part of it's because Lorrie has such a busy month. I'm a little pissed off about it because I'm jonesing to get to a distillery. No, I'm just joking. And at Stock Show, I would love to do something around Stock Show, but it's just a busy time this month.
And it is a volunteer thing, if you will. We're not monetizing it, so
we have had some opportunities where we have made money off of it. It's just trying to figure that whole piece out,
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to make those decisions on where to be sometimes in the middle of the week. Personally, my life is changing a little bit, but I get up at 4 a.m. So I don't like to be out past 8 or 8:30 because it makes it really tough to get up the next morning. So we try to stay local during the week, but on weekends when we can, when our schedules match. And we had, our kids were pretty active for a while too, sports and such. We couldn't always make it work, but it's getting better. And so on the weekends we do special, like we talked about the distilleries and stuff. But to your question, I think we're still working on that, still trying to figure out what our goals are and what we want to do with it. We've got a good established, solid program, good following, good branding.
Let me just jump in real quick because a friend that I know, but saw me out the other day at the MAB, and she came up and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I love your whiskey, wine, whatever stuff. Keep it up, keep it up, keep it up." So you just never, she's a mutual friend.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, and I'm like, oh, okay.
The most random people will just come up and be like,
Yeah.
I like your stuff. And they're like, oh, you listen? Oh,
Yeah,
appreciate it.
She's looking around like, where's the
Appreciate it.
whiskey?
Did you give us a
And we have
follow?
sold T-shirts. People
Okay.
not these specifically, but we had some people were like, oh, I want one of those. And
That's great.
Yeah.
I don't remember if we were together or where we were at, but a gentleman, I don't even know who he is. He goes, "You're one of the whiskey, wine, whatever gals, aren't you?"
Like, depends why.
Like he was all, "You're one of them, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah."
and I just think, Lorrie and I bring a value. Of course, do we love drinking different whiskeys, or whatever? Yes, of course, it's fun. It's not like we're just sitting back here like there's.
She's lying. She's on her 4th
Yeah,
cup. No, I'm just kidding.
But I think we bring value. There's something to be said that, Lorrie with her experience in radio, my experience in radio, we interview people, we know how to pitch products. I feel like we do bring a value. And like I said, probably the most interesting thing was when a farm equipment company reached out to us through a friend of mine, but still, he was in charge of trying to figure out how to market. And partially her being a farm broadcaster, but still, it's like, oh, well, that's not where we really expected. I don't know. I just kind of I want us to be whiskey, wine, whatever influencers. How do we get there?
Make sure you give this video a like and go follow their pages.
Go check them out.
Yeah. We're still trying to define that, I guess.
Yeah, because we go back and forth. Do we just do this for fun? Do we do it for? I don't know. Because it is fun.
You can do it for both.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Thank you. I was like,
Enjoy
not that we
the
want to give up
process.
on the fun. So yeah.
Yeah.
If it's something that's meant to work out, it'll work out.
Yeah.
So.
We were talking about it earlier. Is just enjoy the process and work as hard as you can, and we'll see where it goes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what can people find you if they want to learn more about you guys, or just go follow you guys, check out some of the lives you guys do?
On our Facebook page.
Whiskey, wine, whatever gals. Sometimes there's lots of postings. Sometimes it just depends on how busy we are. I don't know. We both like humor, so I post some quirky stuff out there. Sometimes I'm like, should I have posted that? And I'm like, yes, I think we're okay.
Feel like, is it gonna make somebody mad?
Yeah.
Let me double.
But then, you know what?
that.
That's what usually gets the most follows and
I
likes.
put a lot of humor on there. Yeah.
We have a lot of fun with that, and not everybody gets us all the time. We're kind of quirky, but hey, whatever.
No, that's great.
So just Facebook for now, not
Facebook.
Maybe YouTube. Maybe
YouTube. I don't know.
Maybe
new
Instagram.
stuff.
I
Got to
don't know.
dab into some new stuff for 2020.
I don't know. Maybe we should kind of brainstorm with you guys a little bit. And see.
Maybe Eric will be our manager.
Maybe.
And,
But we did. What's interesting is we have had some friends of ours that believe in what we're doing. We have a friend that runs a business Dave Bondi. I don't know if you've heard of him. He does different auctioneers for like all the high schools, and he's all over Facebook and social media, and so we worked with him for a little bit, and because he's like, you guys have something, and it's just he's entrepreneurial too, and started his business from scratch. So
that's great. No, that's great. So if you guys need anything, like any support, we appreciate you guys. We love what you guys stand for. So if you guys do need anything,
thank you. Appreciate that.
For that.
Yeah, thank you guys for taking time out of your busy schedules, to come.
Absolutely.
Come
just
down
sip
here
on whiskey and talk
sip
about
on
ourselves.
whiskey.
Thank you so much.
Exactly. But yeah, we'll put all like the links, the Facebook link down in the description so people can.
Right. We used to have an
find you guys.
Instagram, but I got locked out. You know how to get back into that stuff? Man.
Did they ban you?
maybe.
Would you post? Would you or did you just forget your password?
No, I know.
We got hacked. It got
Oh, you got
hacked.
hacked.
Oh,
So
really?
it's associated with my personal decor page, and then I had my the whiskey, wine, whatever, and oh my god, I tried everything to get into that. And we had lots of followers. I'm like, sorry folks that are out there, like it's so frustrating.
Sometimes it might be just better to just start from scratch and
Maybe
just
start a
make
new
sure
one.
it's
Which
all
I
secure.
did.
And then
I did with my decorating page. I haven't done it, but I have thought about that. I'm like, because I miss sharing stuff on Instagram too, because you get it.
because a lot of the lives you do, you can cut short clips out and then put them out as reels, and then a lot more people see them.
I was just gonna say, what do you guys think about reels? Like, I'm a dork, so I still try to entertain folks through my own page by posting cat reels
Okay.
and possibly some stuff that my family's probably like, what is wrong with her? She's turned 50. But
No.
reels are like the thing right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this will probably clip it out a little bit and have some reels for it. So
Yeah.
Like, how long does it take you guys between this and when you start putting stuff out there?
Well, it kind of depends because sometimes we'll like shoot like a lot of these episodes at once, and then kind of just have some for like the next coming weeks.
Gotcha.
And then sometimes just quicker turnaround.
Cool.
So this one will probably be a couple weeks.
yeah, because we get pretty busy. So like the rest of the month will probably be pretty busy. So we're like, let's shoot a couple of these days that we have free. So,
Cool.
But yeah, we'll get it out for sure.
Well, I'll put that little teaser. I didn't get it in time.
Okay.
You guys are like, I'm like, what? You guys are busy? What? But I'll put a little teaser out there. Laura and I will, that we were here, and we'll just kind of tease it out there, and we like doing that kind of stuff. But definitely, and I don't know, it'd be fun to maybe, I don't know if you guys ever have Juan back, maybe we can do kind of a joint thing
With Juan?
and have some fun
Yeah.
with
Pretty
that.
sure Juan's down.
Yeah.
Who hopefully will sponsor the alcohol.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Bring
Go
those
on,
other
go
bottles.
on.
Yeah.
No pressure at all. That's great.
So yeah, guys, thank you guys once
Thank
again
you for having-
taking
Thanks
time.
for having us.
Yeah, and so yeah, thank you guys for everything.
Absolutely.
If you guys
Cheers.
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 Do a cheers with
cheers.
the
Cheers.
If you guys liked our guest on today, hopefully, because they were great, honestly, just give the videos a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the channel to check out all our other conversations with everybody else. But yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And with that, I'll leave you with our motto here on the podcast, which is an act of rebellion is to question. So thank you guys very much. Cheers.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Underrated, we the underdogs, underestimated.